Good afternoon and welcome to the home isolation edition of Drinks with Darren. I'm excited to be with you here this episode because not only am I shooting for my home, so we might get some very special guests in terms of my two dogs, whether they are barking at the mailman or anybody that walks near the property or snoring in the background as you can hear. But I know there is a huge hunger out there for information and to know what's going on with the real estate market. So I'm going to do my very best to give you an idea of exactly what is happening. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the government stuff going on, all the mortgage stuff going on. You can find all that information in some different videos I've been releasing in the last few days and weeks, and I will link a lot of them below, but specifically I will link below to my YouTube channel. So if you are interested in seeing any of that information, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll be able to get everything as soon as it comes out up to date and keep yourself very informed about what's happening in real estate. So before we get into the numbers, because I think that's what everybody wants to know and wants to know what's going on with the market, we are going to continue a tradition here and have a beer with you, my guests. We are enjoying today Guinness. You've probably had one before. It's not from a local brewery like I've done in the past, but it's certainly good, and we're digging into the home stash here a little bit. So we're going to get into this. We're going to enjoy this while we go over some numbers, and I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on with the real estate market. All right, let's give this a go and see how it tastes. Ooh, as good as I thought it would be. Okay, so let's get into what's going on. Now, you are going to hear a lot of numbers coming out from the different real estate associations, and the numbers that are coming out don't necessarily reflect the nature of the market. As you can imagine, we came off in the start of 2020 with a boom. Real estate was really moving. People were excited to be buying homes again, and we've seen a lot of pent-up demand in the market for a couple of years that really started to come back into the market and pick up really into late 2019 into 2020. So when you're hearing some of these numbers for March of this year, a lot of that pent-up demand was still there at the beginning of the month. We started off the month with a boom. It was a very, very productive first couple weeks. And as you know, in real estate, just because a house sold today doesn't necessarily mean the market's busy today, because that offer might have been written maybe 2 weeks ago. So it's going to be interesting to see what the numbers say coming out from the associations rather than what the numbers behind the scenes say. And I'm going to show you both of those a little bit today. So let's get into them. Beginning with detached homes, in the last 3 months, detached homes are up 3.65%. And in the last year, they're up 2.64%. So seemingly a pretty good time to have bought a detached home a few months back or even a year or so ago. Jumping into townhomes now. Townhomes in the last 3 months have, again, performed incredibly well based on the pent-up demand in the marketplace. In the last 3 months, townhomes are up 1.81%, and in the last year, the benchmark value of a townhome is up 1.26%. This is great news for townhome owners as well, and condos really didn't perform much different than detached and townhomes. Probably performing the best out of all three categories, apartments were up 4.23% in the last 3 months. And in the last year, up 1.23% on the benchmark value. Now, all these numbers sound awesome, and seemingly, it seems like all the values have really seemed to come up, especially in the last 3 months. Well, I'm going to share some behind-the-scenes numbers with you, numbers that don't necessarily get released, because these have a more accurate reflection of how COVID-19 has affected the marketplace. Now, these numbers don't necessarily revert to pricing. Pricing is a little bit harder to track and a little bit harder to keep a sight on. And that's where these monthly numbers become very, very useful. What I can show you, however, is what sort of impact COVID-19 has had on people's perception of the market. So who is deciding to put their home up for sale and how many sales are occurring? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the last 4 weeks of March, and we're going to section March up into 4 different segments. I'm going to show you how we entered into March, how March progressed through the mid-month, and how we finished it off. And that's going to be a very clear reflection of how this current pandemic is affecting our marketplace. So from the 1st to the 8th of March, we had just under 2,200 new listings come to the market in the first week and 1,206 sales during that same time frame. That represented almost a 55% sales to active ratio versus new listings compared to listings that were selling. That's a very, very robust market. Going into the second week, news started to kind of progress with this whole COVID-19 thing, but we still saw relatively good listings coming to the market. We had just over 2,000 new listings hit. Now, this is from the period from the 9th to the 15th. However, at this time, we started to see sales become somewhat affected, with just over 900 sales registering during the same period. This represented just over 45% of a sales to active ratio. So not a huge change versus what we had seen the first week. Getting into the second week, however, running from the 16th up until the 22nd, we had 1,830 new listings come to the market during the third week. And sales went down almost by half to 574 sales. This is clearly when the news really started to sink in and the whole stay-at-home orders really started to be prevalent in BC. And we finished off that ratio with a 31.4% sales to active ratio. Again, with new listings to the market and sales at the same time frame. Now we finished the final week of March from the 23rd to the 31st with just under 1,500 new listings coming to market. This is down from almost 2,200 in the very first week of March, so nearly 600 people less just 3 weeks later. However, sales were one of the most interesting things because sales absolutely bottomed at 207 sales for that week. This is a 14% sales to active ratio. So we went from about 55% all the way to 14% in the matter of 4 weeks. Absolutely incredible. So when we see all these numbers out here that the market has really significantly improved in terms of pricing, it very well may have. However, the sales and the new listings coming up have completely slowed down. Now, we are seeing a little bit higher of people putting their homes on the market rather than the sales. And the reason for that is likely simple. Not only do people have to sell, but there's also people out there who are probably thinking that they're timing the market a little bit. They're prepared to get out of the market at this current moment, maybe come back at a later time, thinking that what's going on right now is going to have some sort of effect negatively on the pricing. Now, the question you're all asking is, will it have an effect on pricing? Well, the answer to that is, I'm not sure. I've been listening to a ton of podcasts, researching a ton of information, getting ready for this. And the interesting thing is, anytime we have gone into a recession in the last 40 years, the real estate market has always come out on top, has always improved, and values have always improved. So, hard to say if this is going to play the same, but if history is any teacher, the real estate market is, of course, a safe investment, as we've always known. And housing is a fundamental need of people. So I've got a lot of faith in our housing market. There might be a short-term blip, but I'm really hoping that it's something that's relatively short-lived. Now that brings me to the last thing I will leave you with. I've been getting a ton of phone calls from many of you wondering what to do. There's lots of you that were planning on having your home ready and available for the spring market, and clearly plans have changed a little bit. And there's still some of you out there that maybe are in a must sell or a must buy situation. And that's okay. Give me a call because there is ways we can help you safely. There's lots of things that I've introduced in my business long before this whole COVID-19 thing started to help people be more virtual and better prepared for situations just like this where we don't necessarily need people coming into your home. So if you're one of those people in that scenario, definitely let me know. But I am introducing a new program called 90 Days Out. I got this idea back from this workout I did where this guy was getting ready for his wedding, and obviously it didn't work when I tried it, but the cool thing that came out of that is when this all comes to pass, and it will pass, you're probably still wanting to move on with your life. So this 90-day program is all about how to get your home set up for success. My wife and I are thinking of moving right now as well, and I am actually going through these same steps myself, filming them, and it's all about ways that you can improve your home and increase the value you ultimately get for your home just by doing simple homeowner tricks, tips, and hacks to improve your home and the saleability of it. So that's something that's being worked on right now and should be released to begin early next week, where we will be releasing weekly videos on how to improve your home and get it in the top condition. So when it does come time and makes sense and is safe for everybody out there, we'll be ready for you. I want to thank you for joining me on this month's Drinks with Darren. And again, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I will put the link down there wherever it goes. And that's where all the most up-to-date information about what's going on in the market, what's going on with housing, tenancy, everything where you can find. And you can also get additional subscriptions and videos with Drinks with Darren as well. I hope everybody is safe at home. I hope everybody is doing awesome and is healthy. And we'll look forward to talking to y'all soon. Bye-bye.